Made it for Sight, Season 16, Episode 4268. In my last video, I was toying around with the idea of not covering this episode if it was fake and boring. Well, it was fake and boring, but here I am. However, there were a couple of interesting moments worth talking about. But first, the producers have been caught in a lie. Well, we already know there isn't much reality going on in this reality show, but we now have some proof about a lie they fed us from the last episode. Remember Chuck Norris's, aka Clint's date from last week? This is what he said about her.
A friend of mine asked me if I'd be willing to be set up on a blind date with somebody that has similar interests, and I'm like, hell yeah.
Okay, a friend set him up on this date, right? So in walks 36-year-old Nicole. Well, the ladies from Are You My Podcast recognized Nicole. Yeah, recognized her from this show. Nicole was in the matchmaking special from this season. Here she is with Dr. Pepper. Clear as day. Nicole, 36 years old, senior marketing manager. Here she is with Chuck. And here she is again in the matchmaking special. This is just sloppy. Of the thousands of applicants they didn't show us, why would they choose one of the handful they did show? If they wanted to set Chuck up on a second chance date, maybe someone who they identified as being a good match for him, they could have just said that rather than scripting out this lie for Chuck to tell us. This is just ridiculous, yet here I am tuning in every week and reporting on it. So I don't even know what that makes me. And I'm happy to share that this video is being sponsored by HelloFresh. Oh, and by the way, I'm Tamara, and this is Tamara Lynette Tells. Let's get into it. Jasmine and Kirsten were talking about starting a party bus business. Kirsten suggested that they call their business the Rock and Roll Bus. Jasmine said it should be called the Dream Express Bus. Yeah, dream sounds about right because Jasmine just barely moved out of her mama's house. So right now, buying a party bus might just be a dream, but good for them for having ambition regardless. Kristen Peppercow and their boring relationship talked about hosting Thanksgiving dinner and inviting family over, and they ran the idea past her dad, who was on board. I hope he brings the chicken he named after Orgy, aka Airris, over so they can eat him for the main course. Yes, I'm being a hater. Later, we see the cast gather for a birthday party for Peppercow's dog. Really? These producers ran out of ideas for this show and had all these folks put their lives aside to celebrate Peppercow's dog. Oh, and surprise, surprise, the party was at a park. If you watched my last video, I counted the number of park outings they had. Anyway, Chuck said that women are now hitting on him while he's walking Hank. So since he's seeing that the dogs bring in the ladies, he really wants a dog now, even a junkyard dog, he said. When I think of a junkyard dog, I think of an overly aggressive dog with big sharpened teeth, barking uncontrollably and foaming at the mouth. Only people he's going to attract with that kind of dog are men with plumber's crack showing who are already missing an arm or a leg. Women are not going to be flocking to pet your junkyard dog, Chuck. Anywho, Kirsten said that when she talked to Shaq, he said his grandmother asked about her, which was sweet. And she said she's not looking to be friends with Shaq because she just wants to move forward. Not to mention that she's clearly still bitter about being rejected by someone she wasn't even attracted to. Meanwhile, Mac had to leave early to go back home to Michigan, the state he never officially moved from. Boy, bye. Then they went on to show Dom and her mom out to lunch. To the confessional cam, her mom said she apologized to Dom for signing her up for this process, but Dom told her it was ultimately her choice to go through with it. So of all the shows to sign her daughter up for, why did she choose this one? Like, why not Love is Blind so at least Dom could find out if the guy is living in his best friend's mom's basement or not? Anyway, Dom said she felt like doing the show was a complete waste being divorced at 26. Now, Brandon and Michael from season 10 applied for annulments and got them, even though they made it all the way to decision day. I would think that Dom and Mac would qualify for an annulment as well. They were only in this marriage for 11 days. So they show Orgy meeting up for a date. Now he claims his date, who is named Kendra, reached out to him after watching him on the show. In other words, this woman who claims she's seeking a man who goes to church regularly found his F-boy nature so delicious that she couldn't even wait for him to file for a divorce and had to scoop him up as soon as he hit those dating streets. Yeah, right. Even though that story doesn't remotely sound true, at least this time they told us that she was in the matchmaking special. I guess they're going to keep running that lazy play. In any case, they seem to have a couple of major things in common. Both of their dads passed away when they were young, and they are both only children. She asked him what temperature he likes to keep his thermostat on at home. Are these the kind of get-to-know-you questions people are asking on dates now? I don't even know what any of my friends and family's favorite room temperature is. Hell, I don't even know what mine is. Speaking of temperature, what was with her air pocket she had going on in the back of her skirt? This looks like a design you would wear if you plan on overeating. Like there's no need to unbutton that top button when you get full with that V-shaped thing she's got going on. It's giving her room for like 2 inches of stomach expansion. I heard that. Get your wild berry acai bowl on, girl. Matter of fact, have to, because you got room for it in that skirt. In any case, in the end, Orgy asked her on a second date. Gina met with her lawyer. She was asking about the divorce process and how much it costs and if Chuck can try to gain custody of her dog. Now, I hate to keep calling this show out for having fake storylines, but they keep feeding them to us. The contestants sign a prenuptial agreement. What's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. Plus, the show will pay divorce fees if they file within a specified amount of time. Now, I don't know the exact time frame, but it hasn't expired because they will not allow them to file for divorce until after the last show of the season airs. So this entire scene was bogus. Meanwhile, Mac was at home in Michigan looking like he went back in time to film a rap video from 1996 with his sunglasses on indoors and 9,000 pounds of weed behind him and trying to flex about how much money he's making now that he's back in Michigan. The only thing this scene was missing was half-naked girls crawling all over his car. Now he's claiming he was going to try to stay in Nashville, but the money is too good in Michigan, so of course he had to go back. Meanwhile, quite a few of you pointed out to me in the comments that marijuana is illegal in Nashville. So, of course, Mr. Ganja Man can't live in Nashville forever. He was always going to move back to Michigan. Dom was right about him. He never intended to stay in Nashville. Then they had Shaq sit down with Jasmine and Orgy for some post-decision day advice, as if they are experts on one person saying no and the other one saying yes on decision day. So Shaq claims he was grateful for Kirsten's call after his grandma died. However, there's always a but with him. But at our little get-together, Kirsten sat across from me and couldn't even look at me. Really, Shaq? You had just dumped her on national TV. Did you go over and offer her some of that nurturing and support that you seem to know and love so much? So Jasmine said that Kirsten will come around, but right now she's embarrassed, confused, bitter, perturbed, outraged, cynical, offended, flustered, annoyed, resentful, irate, dazed, perplexed, mortified, humiliated, shook up, irritated, and just focusing on being a boss bitch. Okay, she didn't say all that, but she had a nice-sized list of emotions Kirsten was going through. Overall, Shaq was like, I'm not trying to play the game of not wanting to be friends, then wanting to be friends, or if we're going to be cordial, then just be cordial. I'm just trying to figure out why you have such a bad attitude, sir. You are the one who asked for a divorce. How is it that all of a sudden you are the victim of your own decision from decision day? So Dom called Gil on video. Gil couldn't even stir up fake excitement to be talking to her. He was not into it. When she told him that she called her marriage quits after only 11 days, he was not impressed. He was looking like, little girl, get off my phone. He didn't like that she didn't give the marriage a chance. So she told him, when they asked me who I would want to go out on a date with, I don't know why, but your name just came to mind. So it sounds like producers felt like everyone who didn't walk away with a successful marriage should get sent on a date, because everybody went on a date except for Shaq and Kirsten. Shaq didn't have time for a fake date due to his grandma's passing, and Kirsten is the only one who didn't want to play this dumb married at first sight, oops, that didn't work out, so go on a fake date game. Anyway, the fact that Gil was the first person who came to Dom's mind got me wondering, is Mac even her type? Because which one of these things is not like the other? Remember, Dom's mom filled out her Married at First Sight application, and her mother's husband looks like he could be Mac's uncle. So, did she fill out this application according to her own preferences or Dom's? Because I'm thinking Dom likes chocolate. In any case, Gil was talking to Dom like she was his broken little sister. He was not interested. So, Shaq and Kirsten sat down to have a little post-decision day wrap up. Kirsten finally had the opportunity to ask him why he cried on decision day. Child, that question was just burning in her belly. He said, because I made a decision for me and I couldn't believe I was saying it. I didn't even know I was that vulnerable. I don't feel we got a fair shot on getting on one accord. Say what now? You were crying because you made a decision for yourself? Who's been making your decisions for you up to now? I guess what he was trying to say is that he made a tough decision by putting himself first, but he didn't come across as putting Kirsten or his marriage above everything else. He was all about his career, school, his mentees, and making her pay for missing his work event. She will never live that down. Oh, unless we believe that he really turned down that job opportunity early on in their marriage for Kirsten, which I don't buy. Anyway, he asked her, where do we go from here? And Kirsten said, our separate ways. And Kirsten is done with this man. And after all of the negative things he said about her, not being supportive, nurturing, and feeling alone in the marriage, he seemed to want to be with her in some capacity. So after not taking any responsibility for anything that went wrong in their marriage, to the confessional cam, he had the nerve to say, it's everything I expected. No nurturing. She didn't ask, did y'all need anything? She's just not a nurturing person. That's Kirsten. So we leave this as two people who could not get on one accord. Shaq, wake up and smell what you're shoveling. I'm not mad at you for not wanting to stay married to Kirsten. She didn't make it easy from the very beginning. However, you are the one who said you no longer want to be her husband. So why do you expect her to step to you like a wife? It's like you want her to fight for you, court you, show up downstairs at your place in the middle of the night and throw a little pebble at your window to get your attention, then whip out a boombox that's blasting the song y'all danced at your wedding reception while professing her love to you and begging for forgiveness like teenage boys do in romantic comedies. I don't understand this chip he has on his shoulder, like she still has something to prove to him after he called it quits. Watching this scene back on Afterparty, Kirsten was pissed. She said she was nurturing towards him in the marriage. She took care of him, and when he had COVID, did we know that he got COVID during filming? I remember Orgy having it, but not Shaq. Anyway, she said she cooked him food, washed his clothes, packed him lunches, cleaned, and really tried to help him out. I think Kirsten was probably stuck in a recipe rut and should have tried one of the 40 weekly recipes from HelloFresh. They say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. HelloFresh would have delivered mouth-watering, chef-crafted recipes with fresh ingredients right to their front door. Instead of worrying about dinner, she could have spent more time figuring out Shaq's needs because their fast and fresh options are ready in only 15 minutes or less. When he wasn't feeling well, she could have prepared him their snack board, which has pretzel bites, spiced bar nuts, and hot honey peach jam. I like how their instructions are foolproof because they give you written instructions with pictures. Every time I prepare a HelloFresh meal, I feel like I've got what it takes to compete in a cooking competition on the Food Network because these meals come out so delicious. You can't tell me that I can't have my own cooking show. So they are really bringing the heat with this discount I'm about to drop on you. If you go to HelloFresh.com and use the code 16Tamara, you will receive 16 free meals plus free shipping. No, I'm serious. Try it. Go to HelloFresh.com, use code 16Tamara at checkout for 16 free meals plus free shipping. Bon appetit! So for like the third week in a row, the cast went to the axe throwing place. Of course, Mac wasn't there and Kirsten didn't go either. On Afterparty, she said she didn't go because she was emotionally tapped out by then. She really took that no on decision day hard. Anyway, everyone else seemed to have a good time throwing axes. Every time Dom threw an axe, it bounced off the wall. She couldn't get it to stick to save her life. So she was like, when I throw, is my tail wobbling? And Chuck looked at her booty and said, no, your tail looks perfect. Chuck was being very flirty towards Dom. I believe he had some liquid courage going on there and a little bit of beer goggles, if you know what I mean. Thanks to Pepper Cow being all up in their Kool-Aid, or in this case, all up in their Coors Light, Chuck and Dom talked about going on a date. So Chuck said he was into it and getting big D energy from Dom. Okay. And said they should go out for tacos. And Jazz was over there making all kinds of comments. So Chuck asked her, like, if she wants to go for tacos too. And she's like, I'm not into that wife swap. Chuck was coming in hot. I think he would have gone home with any of the women at that table except for Pepper Cow. So anyway, it was decided that they would both throw an axe, and if they get theirs to stick, they have to kiss. So Chuck threw his first and it landed. Now, like I said earlier, Dom was struggling all night to get an axe to stick on that board. But when a kiss from Chuck was on the line, she threw that axe like a champ. Bam, it stuck. So that meant they had to kiss. Dom was telling everybody to turn around. She didn't want them to see her kiss. Turn around? Girl, you're on TV. Everybody, including your mama's gonna see that kiss. And it was a sensual one too, like they were craving it. But to me, what was funny about that moment was Orgy's face. For someone who claims to have participated in multiple orgies, he sure was stunned to see two people kiss. So much so that he lost himself and was all hugged up on Jasmine, forgetting that he wasn't even into her like that. To the confessional cam, Gina claims that she was unfazed by the kiss. But this face doesn't look unfazed to me. She looks pretty damn fazed and surprised. Then, if that wasn't bad enough, Chuck went in for a second kiss. It's funny because Jasmine couldn't bear to keep watching, but Orgy was glued to them like watching a naked man run across a baseball field. You know how you should look away, but curiosity wins every time. So to the confessional cam, Chuck said she's hot, she's cool, she's young, she's adventurous, and her lips feel good. Her lips may feel good, but that hangover you're gonna have in the morning won't. I really think that this kiss was just them getting caught up in the moment, like, what the hell? It's the season finale, so why not go out with a bang? Well, for Dom, it was going out with a bang. Chuck was giving me more like love after lockup vibe. Like, after being on sex lockdown for so long, he would have tongue kissed the holes in that axe wall. In the end, Dom and Chuck pretended to walk out together, and a producer yelled, "Are you going home together?" But before they could even round the corner, Dom dropped her hand from around his waist and started laughing. So, what did I just watch? This show is getting messy with all of these dates and wife swapping. Like, weren't we supposed to be watching a show about what happens when a couple meets at the altar and gets married as strangers? How did we get here? Watching these married men and women go on sloppy pretend dates with previous cast members and rejected contestants, fake dog custody conversations, trying to rewrite storylines to convince us of a lie, and Orgy's braless cousin accusing Jasmine of giving pageant queen answers when Orgy is the one who is a big pageant king rambling off answers like, "I plan to take everything I've learned from this experience and apply it to my next relationship so I can be a better man, and I'm looking forward to being a good father." Excuse me, sir, but you have never been in a serious relationship, and just because you are technically married, you're still not in one. Whatever. I'm just glad we are finally done with these episodes and finally moving towards a reunion. But the next episode, the tell-all from previous seasons, looks juicy. For the first time in like 6 months, I'm actually looking forward to watching this show. Well, that's all I have for now. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in my next video.